Alright guys, so this is going to be the meaty one. Video is going to be about perhaps, I don't know, perhaps I'm gaslighting myself, but 20 to 30 minutes, so beware. Last video was just, again, a simple thank you. In fact, I'm even surprised that I'm making 2 videos in one day, and good quality videos too, because sometimes I feel like shit about making certain videos, but no, today we're taking advantage of the fact that we're blessed enough to even have this little moment in time. And surprisingly enough, I'm actually okay with making a video here at a cafe, because I'm not gonna lie, I have a bit of social anxiety. There was literally a person just right next to me, and there's one actually to the right of me, perhaps listening to what I'm saying. But if I'm gonna be a famous YouTuber, I guess I'm gonna have to get used to just talking to people, or just people listening to what I have to say here and there. So that being said, let's get into the thick of it. So I was already trying to give you guys a little sneak peek as to what this video is going to be about, and it's kind of going to be in correlation as to what I was talking about in the other video. Humans are living in livestock or cattle. Yeah, humans are living in cattle. And I was talking about Animal Farm, about how sometimes there is going to be that one small population that thinks themselves better than the whole population, and eventually is going to enclose them into living this life into where, we're better than you, we're going to control you, and we're going to maintain it like this forever. But that's just not how the human spirit works. Eventually there is parts to ourselves that start fighting against the mass or the popular opinion. And that's basically what I am as a person too. I don't like the popular opinion. I don't like being part of what the mass society has to offer, even if it means looking better or being financially even more rich, or just, even body counts to that point. And I'm thankful for the fact that my body count is only at 1, and I hope it stays at 1 for the rest of my life, because yeah, some people use that as a flex, especially us males. We use body counts as a flex. We're like, oh yeah, we've done it with so and so, and no, to me that's pathetic. Unless you have body counts that have been meaningful to each one of those people, then by all means, that's actually a flex itself. But people throw around sex as if it's it's really nice to have it with a bunch of people. And yeah, some people look good as hell, I'm not gonna lie, but if it's just soulless, then we ain't about that up in here. Because again, my channel is to start realizing we all have a soul. We are not just all matter and atoms flowing through this vast universe. No, we're much more than that. So cheers, by the way. Yeah, you guys couldn't hear that one, actually. I'm sorry. I know that looked weird. But all right, going back to it. I didn't mention this, but I am reading this book, and it's about how there is 2 people inside of you, or there perhaps is multiple people inside of you. And what's really crazy about this book, and I already said it, I did encounter it in a point in my life where it was just too coincidental to find. I did write a book myself about just it was a stupid fictional one too, but now that I'm looking back at it, I'm that was my protector, you could say, that actually was trying to leash out her voice. And I call her the feminine because for some reason I've always had this feminine energy, and now thankfully as I'm growing up, I'm tapping into this masculine energy. Some of you guys may say that I'm gay, and it's no, I'm not gay, and I support gays as well, but I'm heterosexual. I am a he, him. It's just for some reason my protector, and I'm still trying to figure myself out, but through the childhood trauma that I went through with the sexual abuse, with physically getting hit, to just other people genuinely being discourteous to who I am, this protector of mine grew up to be this female, and where she protects me, thankfully, and she's a mother to a lot of people. And I start realizing why am I a people pleaser? And it's because this persona grew up to be that person, and now that I'm 20 years old, I'm starting to self-actualize, you could say. Yeah, you get to look back and start realizing, why do I do the things that I do? And it's because literally sometimes it's even generational trauma that just passes on from your parents onto you, and you manifest it in some type of different way that just affects everyone. And thankfully I've been in touch with people that are more scientific, that actually say oh no, sometimes your brain just lacks this certain chemical, such as dopamine in your mind, that makes you function a certain way. But then there's also the arguments as to where spiritually you do inherit these energies around everyone, and it affects your behavior. And at this point, I'm like, I'm trying to just mix in both of those theories so that way it can just make some logical sense to not only just me, but people around me, and then just also for you guys as well. And I was talking to this person who's considered an empath to herself, and she says that, yeah, there's very few of us left. And she includes me in there for some reason, and I'm thinking maybe it's because of that motherly part inside of me. But for her, I swear, this person's just a beautiful soul, but she's a dominatrix. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it involves BDSM. This is also another book that I heavily recommend to most of you guys, Sunstone. Mind you, I have never enacted upon BDSM, but I love the characteristics there is to it, such as the self-care, that trust. Those are the only two things I really like about it. I don't know if I myself would ever indulge into it. And not to speak badly upon the people that are actually enthusiasts upon that, but it's a roller coaster ride to actually even be upon. But to me, I mainly look upon what the soul just craves, and those are the two things: trust and I forgot the other thing already. Trust and self-care, or basically that motherly part to actually start taking care of someone. That being said, I do feel as if we do all have personas. We're all in this society trying to be repressed by it, so that way we're not free thinkers or system thinkers, or that way we don't think of solutions. Rather, we're just going to bitch and whine all day and think, why does this happen to me? Why doesn't it happen to someone else? And I always see this among children, and right now I am working with children, and I always just see them saying to themselves, why is this happening to me? Or why doesn't this kid have to do this or this and that? Like, why do I have to do this? I'm like, we're all in different timelines, and eventually we're all going to start realizing we all have someone inside of ourselves to actually take care of. And this book really puts it into clear perspective that inside of us, once we start actually validating the fact that we are the way we are, it's as if we start becoming a bit more childish, but not in the bad way as to where, our behavior starts really becoming more of a negative thing. No, we start becoming more childish in the sense where we're able to alleviate ourselves and actually relive the things we weren't able to as a child. And that's why you see on TikTok, these couple sayings oh, I'm healing, his inner child by taking him to Disneyland or Universals. And I'm like, that makes sense. Sometimes both male and females have to go through some terrible shit as a child. And then as an adult, they're always asking why am I like this? And it's because of that. It's you need to start realizing, this protector of yours, this person that is in constant survival mode, was thanks to the societal terms that have been implemented not only on just you, but on your parents. And sometimes your parents are even affected by their parents. And it's just more of just a generational trauma as to where, why is this existent? And, it's starting to be brought upon our society that, some of us have ancestors that have gone through certain things that make us the way we are. And it's so validating to know that, because as a male, I guess, we have that tendency to just group whatever we think is right and whatever is wrong with us. And I think back to most philosophical thinkers, they like getting inspiration from just other philosophical thinkers and then applying their theories into their own to make it their own. And that's what I'm kind of starting to do. I mean, shit, perhaps I should have majored in philosophy. I don't know. I'm just going to get my BA in communications and see where I go from there. But no, I mean, it just starts making sense. I'm starting to get sources from a bunch of different perspectives, from where, I do talk to some people that are educated, some people that are spiritual, some people that even smoke weed and open their their third eye. There you go. And I'm just getting a bunch of perspectives from people, and I'm trying to at least formulate my own as to where it starts making sense. I mean, hell, I've even talked to people that are affiliated to gangs and everything, and thankfully I have protection now just because of that. And I'm not going to say whatever it is, because I don't want to get myself into that. But I mean, even people mistaken me for wearing high socks sometimes. It's oh yeah, you a down ass fool, huh? No, that's just not me. I'm just an empath trying to figure out why we are the way we all are. And what I mean to say by this, by everything, our soul is just so beautiful. We all deny it so much. And I talk about how it's affected mainly by fuck, what was the video called? I'm trying to remember what it was called. Human Cattle. Yeah, I think it's just Human Cattle, about, oh yeah, just a small population entrapped us into this system that we think is right, and it's not. And mind you, like, I'm not much of a political person or a conspiracy theorist. I'm not that either, but I'm genuinely just seeing what a bunch of people go through and how they're stuck to this life that sometimes they don't like, and how sometimes they wish to aspire to be living a different life. And I'm seeing this mainly through millionaires now that, you know, they're making a bunch of money to start retiring their parents or to start doing what they want. And, you know, I'm not saying money is going to actually fix all your problems. I mean, and I know some of you guys don't like this person, but mind you, I'm only taking the good out of what certain people say. But Andrew Tate once said that, you know, money does not necessarily make someone better. It just really amplifies whatever personality traits they have. And I look at Adin Ross. I mean, you know, this guy's only 22 years old, and I have some authority to speak on this guy because I'm going through what he's going through in a sense. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with my life, but I'm at least trying to organize it myself instead of having this dependency on someone else to fix it for me. And that's just what a bunch of us people my age are dealing with right now. Like, we have to hold some type of dependency on someone to fix our problem, and it's really starting to become a bit pathetic to me. And, you know, no one else may have the courage to say that, but I'm saying it, and I admit it, at some point I found myself pathetic for trying to rely on someone emotionally. But, you know, Adin Ross trying to find this inspirational value to himself through another man, that's just pathetic. And, you know, it just goes to show that, like, Adin Ross just sits on his ass all day, makes money just off people watching him, and he even says himself, like, why are you guys following me? Like, that's just very rude to those of you that are actually following this guy, because, you know, there's other YouTubers out there, including me, that would wish to have that amount of popularity. But, you know, we're all on our own timelines, but it's just very discourteous to me that he says that to his viewers. So that being said, like, if you're this person that's just lazy and you somehow get a bunch of money, then that's exactly what you're going to continue being until you lose all that money and start realizing, like, shit, I should have done something else. And I'm saying this through personal experience, because as I grow up, I'm starting to realize, like, you know what? I had 20 grand literally just last year, and I was spending it. I was not even spending it that much. I was actually just having it as my cushion. I was not worried about, like, oh, you know, what should I invest this money in or anything else. No, like, I was simply enjoying my break from having upheld such a powerful persona that was inside me. Like, and I finally told this persona of mine, it's okay, we don't need to be in survival mode no more. And, you know, throughout those days of being financially free for a bit, I was really happy. I mean, I wrote a book. I never expected myself to write a book, and yeah, that book still needs to be published. It still needs to be, you know, read through an actual publisher that can actually make it good. And I personally myself, like, I think I stopped my book too early. Like, there was so much potential to it, even though it's fiction, even though it's just a story. Like, thinking back on it now, like, I actually want to write another book explaining the two personas that are, or the multiple personas that are actually within a person. But I don't know. I mean, I may make another book, or I may just continue on or try to better that book that I was writing already. But that being said, it's like, there's always just some beauty in a failure. And yeah, I'm not rich or anything, and I'm not going to be getting rich anytime soon, but I'm at least thankful for the fact that I took that persona down just a bit so that I can start realizing, like, there's not only that person living inside me, there's two people. So for those of you that are struggling with the why and the how, start asking yourselves that instead of other people, or stop trying to look on TikTok as to why this is happening to you, or like why it's happening to you. Like, just stop, focus on yourselves. And this correlates to one of my other videos, like, stop being a fucking sheep. Like, literally, like, a lot of us in my generation are following what other people's successes have been off of, and like, that's great. Find inspiration in what they've done, but don't try to necessarily mimic everything they're doing, because at that point you lose your originality, your individualism, your uniqueness. You just lose all of that if you're simply dictating yourself to what other people are doing. And I say this because on TikTok, you know, we just see these successful people either drop shipping, makeup, or apparently now something, and I consider this a stupid fetish. Yeah, because it could turn sexual. Uh, there's this functionality on TikTok or you're live streaming, and I said it in a previous video, how you just press a certain emoji and that person enacts it, like meow, like either they meow or they wave at you or some other cringy shit. Like, yeah, don't dictate yourselves to that, guys, because it's just so bad. It's so cringy. Be yourselves, and it may not come through content creation. It may just come through something else. And for those of you that are actually heavily invested into just genuinely making money, like if you feel as if your childhood directly correlates as to why you're making money, then go ahead. But just make sure you also have the will to say that if money is not my happiness, then I'm gonna step back from it. But very rarely you'll actually see that. Some people actually correlate themselves emotionally to money that way. But if money ain't for you, or if like making a lot of money isn't for you, then start finding something else that is. Because I have a friend of mine that literally is trapped within the matrix, the 9 to 5. He makes music, and he makes really good music sometimes. And I tell him, like, dude, post it on SoundCloud. Stop dictating yourself off like, oh, I'm just tired, or hey, like, I'm just gonna get fatter because, like, we only live once. It's like, yeah, YOLO. Yeah, I get that, but that proves more to my point. If you're here on this earth, if somehow that dumbass little sperm made it to your mom's egg, then it's for a reason. Literally, it's really for a reason. Like, stop wasting your life and just thinking, oh, society has expected this of me, let me just live with it. Like, no. Most beautiful people that aren't even rich are born out of that. People that are perhaps in Africa, that are spiritually in tune with themselves, are perhaps actually way happier than millionaires that are out there, just because they're in tune with their soul. I mean, the person that I met at the Psychic Eye Shop, she's studying herself right now, and also, like, she's going to college, and I admire her for that, because she lives in Lakewood, her job is in Torrance. But the one thing that she said to me is that she had a therapist once, and multiple therapists, and some therapists don't even work out, to be honest, but she had this one therapist that was actually into spirituality. And I think that's very valued now. It should be valued now, because most therapists are stuck to the curriculum as to where, oh, why does this happen to you, or what do you think you can do, or they just sit you down and like start talking to you. And I do believe that a true spiritual therapist would actually delve into what is truly bothering you. It starts making you admit the most terrifying thing about yourselves, even though if it may be demonic, like, they make you expose that to yourself, so you can start realizing it's like, hey, I can start apologizing to myself for being the way I am. And now that I'm thinking back on what she said, like, I wish I could have a therapist that's spiritual, that actually talks about energies, about how sometimes your energy is derived off your parents or people that are even, like, trying to give you some type of negative energy. Like, I already feel as if one person in this cafe has already given me some type of negative energy just because of how much I'm talking, and they just looked at me. But I don't care. I really don't care, because perhaps there's something within themselves that they wish they could see right now, and that I'm currently talking about. So cheers to that. We live off the haters. But I don't even want to sound arrogant, because there's beauty in humbleness. But going back to what I was actually saying, I don't know, perhaps we need more spiritual therapists or more spiritual leaders that are actually going to guide a mass amount of people to start realizing, like, hey, it's not just you in there. Within that body of yours, there's an actual spirit. There's perhaps multiple spirits inside of you that manifest and actually affect your behavior. And back when I was reading this, I think, like, this book I picked up upon like a couple 9-10 months ago. And I didn't realize spirituality as much as I do now, but now that I'm reading some of the highlighted parts there is to it, and I'm like, shit, even someone that has a PhD, mind you, and I was actually trying to, like, Google what this person has a PhD in. It's family behavior therapy, and he's started to implement his own system or his own model into like other people's lives, especially families. And he's an individualistic therapist as well, because he does have one-on-one with certain clients, but then he also has family therapies. And what I've noticed with him is that he's starting to talk a lot about spiritualism, or just even he tries to reach out to, for those of you that are actually religious, like he mentions God in there. And there's just always a bunch of beliefs out there, but what I'm starting to resonate with this person himself, like as an individual, not what he has to offer as advice, is that he's starting to formulate his own opinion from a bunch of different perspectives, in which perhaps make contracts with one another. And I admire that. For someone that is able to intertwine a bunch of beliefs, I really do admire that. That being said, he does say some things about spirituality, about God, and I think he has mentioned paganism, which I'm still trying to figure out what paganism is, but someone briefly explained it to me. Your own method of religiously living through what your own body and soul require. That's my take on it. I'm not sure if that's correct. Correct me if I'm wrong through the comments, but that's exactly what he's trying to like implement to everyone. It's like, hey, start dictating your lives off what you need. And I'm trying to remember, but I need a little coffee break because I've been speaking a lot. I think I'm tired already, actually. I shouldn't be saying that through this video, but as I'm telling you, like, this video might be only 20 minutes long or 30, but it depends. I think I'm like spiritually tired already. Oh my. There you go. Okay. What I'm trying to advocate for is that I myself am trying to become a spiritual leader, but if I haven't gained a lot of attention just yet, then that means I need to fix something within myself to become that spiritual leader. In the meantime, it's come to my attention that at this point we really do need more spiritual people that are available, more people that are not just NPCs living day-to-day life as if they're just stuck to a certain routine. We need people that are actually free thinkers, system thinkers, so that way we can finally repress against what's been going on in this society for so long. I mean, this book actually put it into plain sight as well. Like, even ourselves, we may stick on to a certain belief of, oh, hey, if we're doing this, we're actually benefiting ourselves, even though that's deteriorating your soul. At some point, your body, your mind starts to actually neglect what you think is right, and it starts selfishly trying to get what it's good for its own. It's like a ticking time bomb per se. And you put that into perspective of all humans. At some point, humans will fight back against whatever is wrong, and the wrong eventually succumbs back again. But it's just a huge cycle, and something drastic always has to happen. And I'm gonna call her my empathetic person, because she puts it into plain sight as well. Like, at some point the universe is even going to help you get what you need for yourself, whether that be good or bad. Like, it's just going to give you what you need, whether you need it or not. It's like a pill almost. A good one though, not one of those nasty pharmaceutical ones. Like, sometimes the truth isn't meant to be beautiful, neither ugly. It's simply there to help you. And this empathetic person and this book puts it in plain sight for me. Like, yeah, sometimes our soul requires correction, and that comes in the sense where either you start realizing something's bad for you, or it's going to come for you. And the same applies to Mother Nature. Like, it started talking about Mother Nature. That's why I was like, what the hell? This person is leaning more towards the spiritualistic side, because he even said, like, us humans on Earth have like deteriorated Mother Earth's resources, and we treat it as a it rather than a her. And that's what's very sad. And that's why COVID came around too. To supposedly the government made COVID and actually, made a bunch of humans die. But I do believe Mother Nature can at least control some aspect to the universe itself, and the universe at least dictate. It's like, hey, we're gonna kill off a bunch of humans at random, so that way, humans can start realizing that we're not treating Mother Earth correctly. And at some point, just like us humans, how we start fighting back at our worst points, so will Mother Earth. And that's why I believe like even solar flares have been hitting Earth lately. Like I'm genuinely believing at some point Earth will end just because, or not end, but it will revert back to certain times just because solar flares are hitting us already. And it's really scary. Like it's gonna send some type of reset, and hence the apocalypse. Like it may happen. It really may happen. That being said though, like I do believe if at least us spiritual thinkers are able to rise up, even if it may not be within my generation but the next, so be it. I'll be that Aaron Kruger to someone. For those of you that watch Attack on Titan, you'll understand. But you know, if we are to all die soon, let's at least go out with a bang, and where we start realizing who we are. We start actually trying to nurture that poor survival person that is inside of us. You know, we all have one beautiful side to us. And, you know, there was a bit of theorists within this book that actually said, like, all humans are decent. We are all kind to some extent. But at some point, we do create this protector to actually protect us from what's bad. And if we simply start delving within ourselves and transform that protector to start becoming this more empathetic person instead of a vengeful one, and I truly do believe we can actually start living all harmoniously and live in a world where it's not too bad to live in. As to where we're not just all fake, we're not just all materialistic, and we're all more empathetic than, I don't know what the other word is, but we just need more of that. And my empathetic person was actually saying, like, there is starting to become more of a scarcity with people like me, with people like her, people that are willing to listen to other people's problems and vice versa, and actually try to make themselves better, a reciprocity. Some of you may think that's just like, oh, you're only a toxic person and you're only trying to like at least figure out other people's problems so you can make yourself better. I'm like, no. You know, it takes a broken person to know a broken person. It takes two to tango. I'm only speaking of this from this, like all these videos that I've been making, guys, are direct parts of insecurities that I need to let out and I need to talk about just because I myself feel strongly about it. So if I'm talking about it, and if you see other YouTubers talking about it, that means because they're trying to get over it themselves, and so they're trying to share their experience with you guys so that way you guys don't have to go through it. And like I look at hindsight, I look at even Markiplier sometimes, like they talk about their worst parts as of some type of alleviation to their own soul. You know, lately in hindsight has been talking about soft productivity, as to where you're not just in that grind set, you're actually like grind mindset. You're in the sense where like you're trying to be productive, but in a very soft way. And like I look back at some of my videos too, and I felt the need to make them, and some of them I'm not necessarily proud of. This one, for example, I'm actually kind of proud of. Like it's, I'm not gonna lie, it's making my head work a bit, but it's a soft productivity, and I'm starting to realize what he's saying. And I'm starting to realize too, like he's saying that because he himself has gone through that. And every video that I've talked to you guys about, like, it's my experience through the rat race, through the matrix, to get out of it spiritually, not financially, spiritually. Once I actually do find some type of financial way to actually get out of the rat race, then I'll share it with you guys. But for those people that have actually gone out of the rat race financially, now they start having to focus on, you know, spiritual parts of themselves. Like I've even noticed, like there's always this misconception as to where some people retire at 65, and like I was actually talking to a police officer about this, and like I do want to become a police officer myself. I don't know if it's actually in the books for myself, but you know, I'm going to be taking a test soon. But they did say a lot of people that retire early always have this new burden onto themselves as to what they're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis after retirement, even 60-year-olds. And this is why, you know, there's that conception as to where people that are old have to do something with their lives, because if not, they're going to get really sad and get into depression because they have nothing else to do. And like I get that, but that just goes to show that some people are not in spiritual tune with themselves. And right now, I guess that's why I'm on this journey. That's why financially, like I'm not at my best, but thankfully I have enough to at least give myself these moments of time. But, you know, I was even actually seeing a drop shipper, a millionaire, say this, like a bunch of people are getting rich really fast but they start hitting a plateau as to where they're like, what do I do with my life now? And then they end up in the same boat as me as to where, what do I do? Like, I have all this money, but I don't have the luxury of saying who I am spiritually. And I always say this to everyone that's like having a good life. It's like, take away all materialistic value, that money, like, what are you? And that's what my channel is about. Like, just again, spirituality, about what the soul has to offer, what is within the soul. That's what it's all about. And I've been trying to do this with some people already, and there is one of you out there that actually does want to talk more into depth about, like, just any topic. And I feel as if within any topic, you can always touch the soul a bit. But there's this person that is going through college as well. What's it called? Has ADHD, but he doesn't want to get on my podcast because he's afraid of what he has to say. And I'm like, that's exactly what you need to talk about, my dude. Like, I've heard billionaires say this. If it feels wrong in that moment, perhaps, or no, if it's not wrong, if you feel scared, then perhaps you need to do a certain action. And I remember jumping off a 20-foot cliff into the water, and I actually dislocated my shoulder too. But in that moment, I was like, I've been scared for a lot of moments in my life, and jumping off that cliff into that 20 feet dive, I felt like I was almost gonna die. I felt like I was almost gonna drown. But then after that, even with my dislocated shoulder, because I landed wrong, I felt so relieved that I said yes to a moment that I was scared of. And I feel as if a bunch of us have to do that, so that way we can start realizing what's inside of our soul. Ew, I'm sorry, like, there's this person at the corner of my eye that keeps looking back. It's so weird. Actually, I don't know if he was looking at me, but I think he's looking at someone else. But I'm sorry, if someone has to say something to me, come and say it. Like, and it's a guy too. He's wearing this, what's it called? A nurse uniform. I don't know if he's looking at me, but if he is, like, I'm about to press this fool, because, like, he needs to, like, take those glares somewhere else. I'm sorry. As a Scorpio, you should know we're very toxic, but we're very honest people. But all right then, I'm not gonna lie. Spiritually, I feel as if I worked out a lot just now, and I'm actually kind of proud of myself, because most of the time my videos consist of me not talking very correctly, but I feel as if I was able to talk at least consistently. I wasn't stuttering so much, and I listen to myself, I cringe sometimes, but in this video I feel confident in the sense that, damn, I made a really good fucking video just now, so I'm happy about that. If you guys have more questions about what it is to be a spiritualistic person, or at least try to dive into your soul while also believing into some scientific belief, by all means, DM me. My Instagram is the same as my YouTube name or handle. I am planning on changing my YouTube name soon, but I need to figure out, like, if it's actually okay to do so. But in the meantime, I do have an interview to go to at 1. I think right now it's like 10 or 11, so I'm about to head out, get something to eat. But take care of you guys. Take care of you guys' self, I guess you could say. Don't strain yourself to the everyday life. Have fun, relax, and I love you guys, actually, because a lot of you guys are actually starting to come back. Like, I've seen that the retention view to those viewers are like, some of you guys are actually coming back, and some of you guys are longtime viewers. So honestly, I love you guys. Thank you. You guys are actually coming through with just viewing. You don't even have to like the video, but your views alone say a lot. And some of you guys only stay for like 1 minute to 2 minutes. That's fine. At some point, I'm sure some of you guys are going to be watching my full 40-minute videos or 20-minute videos. I'm not gonna lie, making a video this long is actually kind of tiring, but that being said, take care, and I'll see you guys on the next one.